Hey everybody.
Hey everybody.
I was going to continue on with the audio or with the video here, but it stalled out. So instead, I'm going to be right here doing this. So welcome to the show. Today's show is brought to you by Da Vinci, who says art is never finished, only abandoned. Art is never finished, only abandoned. So today we're going to be working with Pepper, and I've got him rigged up so we've got this whole elaborate construct of doom, which is kind of fun. And so I'll bring Pepper into this here, and then I'm going to kill this primary mic because the only way to make this work is for me to be back there on my camera or on my phone, so you can hear me talking on the phone. So here I go with killing out this mic, and then we'll move over there.
We're testing out the lag here.
Now you can hear me.
Well, I mean,
Maybe I can minimize or that one. Well, this will work in a pinch. You'll just have me as a little teeny thing in the bottom right corner of you. I'm just entertaining. So now we should still be able to hear us from the ground mics. There we go. That probably worked.
Alrighty.
You got me in a little teeny window right to your bottom left over there. Pepper, sorry about that. There's multiple me's. I'm the most important. I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, it's fine. It's fine.
You're not going to cry? No, you're going to cry. That's all good.
No,
You're left out.
It will only come into play when you ask me for help.
That's true. You're like, wait a minute, who's most important? Who? Who is it? It's me, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, it worked. Yay! Thank you, Bill. Appreciate that. Okay, good. Now, back to work for me. Okay. So I'm going to go on ahead and put some water in on the palette. I feel like I don't put enough water in, maybe? I don't know. Should I start with the background or should I start with the foreground?
So that is a interesting question. It depends on the artist, really. Misket, or basically what blocks water from, like, if you want to do like a back thing where you want it to look like all one wash. If you have Misket, you can basically go over the areas that you don't want water to touch, and you can put that there. Right. The only problem that I have with it is if you have the wrong paper with Misket, or have the wrong paper for the brand of Misket that you're using, you tend to rip the paper, and then you have to go back in and touch up.
Right. So you're calling it Misket. I've always called it Frisket. That's interesting.
Yeah, it's Misket.
Well, unless you're French, apparently. Because apparently this says Frisquet, Frisket. But it also says Gomme Reserve.
Yeah, I've always referred to it as Misket.
Can we just refer to it as biscuit and then be okay with it? What do you think?
So long as it's not,
I'm going to move my camera up just a hair.
Buttermilk biscuits, I guess.
You don't like buttermilk biscuits? What's wrong with you, dude?
No, I just don't want to. I just don't want to refer to something as buttermilk that I when I'm hungry.
Oh, fair.
No.
Totally going to make some comment about, we're both Southerners, and really buttermilk biscuits are like a staple.
I actually know how to make them.
Yep, I'm sure you do. You make a mean bagel too while we're at it. Okay, there we go. Much better. You can kind of see the glow of this light, which I think is funny. Okay, good. Yay! I got this under control. Look at me getting under control here. Okay, well then let's try. I have some wedge brushes.
Okay.
So I was thinking of doing backgrounds with the wedge brushes.
That actually makes more sense if you have like a background that you have more not as detailed, but you need like one starter color.
Right. Well, and I'm bringing in a lot of water into this, and so the original piece. She's wearing blue and green, obviously, and because of her uniform. So I was going to go with a red background because it does a good offset. So I'm going to take some burnt sienna, I think.
Okay.
Put some water into this, though, and just kind of work into this part here.
Uh-huh.
And see if this works. See, what bothers me about this is that I'm now putting in the paint. I got a lot of water on this, and I can't. Part of this is, of course, the light from my the light up here is sort of. I get the reflection directly on the water from the way this light's positioned. I think I want to build something like you've got going over there.
Yeah. I also diffuse my lights too, so that kind of helps, but I still have the same issue that you're describing, where the water gets kind of like reflected.
Yeah. I mean,
but,
like water or something. It's so weird.
Yeah, I know.
There we go. Definitely getting a good sort of effect going out here.
Yeah.
Do the Bob Ross back and forth thing. Gives me kind of an interesting sort of effect going off there.
Yeah.
Okay, more burnt sienna.
What you might want to try to do now, you can try this when you're not like on video to see if it works out for you.
Right.
What I've seen other people do is they'll get those palettes, like the floral palettes, and they fill up water in each of the wells.
Oh, that's interesting.
And then they add the color that they want, but what they're doing is they add the color to the water through the pigments, and so they're only using like the version of the color of how much pigment they put into that color. And
right.
Then that way you're not constantly going back and forth with putting water into a well and then like basically calming the pigment down when you add too much pigment.
That makes some sense. I see that.
Yeah. I mean, it's something that you can try. Like, if anyone's watching right now, like you definitely, it is useful for a lot of mediums. So it's not just watercolor, but if you have to dilute anything. So I'm just having fun right now. I'm not really thinking too much.
Yeah, me neither. I'm actually just kind of going in now on top of this burnt sienna, and I'm putting in orange at this point in time to kind of lighten it up and bring up the color.
And I am trying that color that. So for everyone knowing, I asked Guy and one other person to help me and my husband with something this past weekend, which prompted him to come to my home.
That was important because I needed my color, which we're going to use today.
So, but it was definitely a fun experience, to say the least.
I enjoyed it. I always enjoy stuff like that, though. That was a lot of fun to do.
Yeah. And since you're using blue and green, the color that I showed you that I couldn't find the swatch to is one I'm using. I'm using the green one.
Gotcha.
So.
Uh-oh, I've gone into her hair. Oh, no.
And I'm even going to use the same skin tone for that you're using, that I made for you.
Yay.
Yeah.
That's her skin tone, the one I'm actually painting right now.
Yeah.
That's not to say she has ownership of it. or anything.
I mean,
although she did put her name on it, to be fair.
I mean, it is technically hers. Like,
yeah. Her name is on it.
Yeah, Micah Lee.
Yeah. Okay, we got ourselves. I'm gonna put just a hair of red in here. I've been going around and kind of putting in brown, and then underneath that orange, and then I'm gonna put some red in here too. And it is there. I know. And then we'll see whether that looks good or not. Maybe I just ruined it, but that's okay.
Well, isn't art supposed to be the fun part? Is ruining it?
Yeah, it is kind of fun when you ruin it. Yeah, I ruined it. Well, there's that.
So long as you don't go so far as ruining someone else's piece on purpose, you're good.
Like those restoration projects.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, I
projects.
love watching them.
Well,
I love watching restoration projects.
Yeah, well, I do too. But there was like those restoration projects where they restored the artwork from whatever, and it required a painter to go in there and redo it, and like they completely mangled it, and it was just horrible, and it was embarrassing.
Well, I always find, because I watch professional art conservators and stuff, and I really do like the art of art conservation.
Yeah,
because
there's a difference between
fascinating.
There's a difference between conserving the art and repainting the painting from over on top of the painting that was there.
Right. No, that is definitely that's
gone too far.
Every single person I've met who works at a museum for conserving art, will say the same thing. My job is not to redo the painting. My job is to conserve what the painter wanted it the way that it looked.
Right.
So when you approach it that way, it makes a lot more sense, and it looks like people do a better job that way too.
I agree.
So there's one person that I'll catch his videos on YouTube every now and then. Can't do them always because they're usually a half an hour, 45 minutes long.
Yeah, like art show.
Yeah. Yeah, so I can't always do them, but when I get a chance to to watch them, they're fun. So yeah. Anyone talking?
No, nobody there yet. So it looks like we got 4 viewers viewing, so that's good. Always fascinating. Always fascinating.
Yep.
I get that. So I'm just putting down burnt sienna all down this side of the drawing. We're just going to make this just a brown background. So I use cold pressed paper because I really like the tooth.
Okay, cool.
And that's really the reason I prefer cold press, because I really like the toothy sort of, it didn't, it gets kind of chaotic feel.
Yeah.
That we get out of cold press. I feel like warm press is just too soft and too smooth.
I mean, warm press has its advantages too.
Absolutely.
I don't know if you've been seeing the Mike Mignola pieces that he's been doing from quarantine. He's been doing them. A lot of them have been on hot press, and he's even said these are coming out way better than I thought they should.
Right.
So I think he's just taking time, and because everyone has time right now, and you can do that.
And that's the thing. When you're in the middle of production and you're making paintings as fast or comics as fast as you possibly can, because you're on a deadline and things like that, it is hard. It's hard to just experiment and say, you know what, I'm going to try a different type of paper tonight. That's not something you can do because you don't have the time. You don't have the resources.
Right.
But one thing COVID has really done for all of us that I think, at least, if there's any silver lining or, bright side to COVID, it's the fact that we have been able to experiment where we weren't able to before.
Right. That's for sure. Plus, catch up on TV shows that you haven't seen in a while.
Exactly. That's the key. That is absolutely the most important part. You got to catch up on our TV shows. And in here. Might need to switch brushes pretty soon, but I'm still out in the boonies out here, although I'm getting tighter and tighter and closer to Chang Li in her own way here.
In here, I'm just doing a quick watercolor sketch, and I'm already on the skin.
I haven't gotten there yet. I'm still out here in the boonies. All right, there we go. Oh, Ricky. Catch up on all of this excess water down here and pick it up and then bring it over to the other side. The problem with doing this on my main line, of course, is that it's at an angle. So all the water is falling this way. So
yeah, that's why. That's like when people are like, well, why don't you do it this way? And I'm like, have you ever seen a wet-on-wet technique? Have you ever seen how water flows on a piece of paper?
Yeah, I mean, really, honestly, that's part of the reason why I don't do wet-on-wet more often. And I but I mean, other than I love the chaos that you get out of wet-on-dry.
Yeah.
I mean, I really do. Okay, I gotta, real quickly, I just realized that I don't have any paper towels over here because somebody, and I won't name any names, George, he's attacking my paper towel roll.
Dang it, George.
I know. He thinks that's the funnest thing he has ever discovered in life.
First, he takes out pieces of art that you worked so hard on. Now he's taking out paper rolls. Man.
He's pretty brutal. It's a good thing he's cute.
Yeah, that's the only thing that has him going for him.
Yeah, that's about it.
Oh.
Brutal little cat. I swear he's a pest. He's a menace.
Yeah, but if anything should happen to him, you'd be upset.
I'd be so sad. He's our menace. He's a menace, but he's our menace. All right.
So I think I made my own version of sap green.
Okay.
I really like the color combo that because sap green is more than one color combined.
Right.
I think it's a little bit darker than the normal sap green, and a little bit greener than normal. So
fair.
So that's what I just swatched out, if anyone's wondering. And then I originally had called this like blue skin, but I don't know. Like it this blue color that I came up with, it's still kind of eluding me because I know I've seen it, but I don't know how to describe it really well.
Andorian skin. I'm just saying, you know that Bill was thinking.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I mean,
he's still waiting for me to come up with a purple color that he loves. So.
Oh, yeah.
So, because the last time I bought paint, like I told him, hey, what color should I get? And he like picked up a purple one. So.
Yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with all that paint that I just got from Norin. A buddy of ours, Norin Rad, apparently got a pink, this really, really special pink pigment. And it's great, but unlike you, Pepper, I actually don't make paints, so I don't know what to do with it.
Well, I mean, you could make it into paint. That's not a problem. But I don't like, you don't strike me as someone who works with resin.
Right? I mean, I'm lucky if I work with watercolor at this point.
Well, the good thing about the pigment that he actually gave you is they actually say to mix it with straight up water to turn it into a watercolor.
That's
I
weird.
can tell you that right now that will work out to be very disastrous.
I was about to say, that sounds like a horrible thing.
But you can turn it into chalk. If that's something that you're willing to like kind of work and do.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Make it into a chalk, huh? But I assume that since you were talking about resin, that means that it's not going to end up being one of these nice little pans over here.
No, I mean, if you don't like, I mean, if you don't want to make it into paint yourself, that's fine. I mean, if you look at my palette right here on my table, the pinkest pink is like right there.
Right.
So, and that's the color we're talking about, folks.
So that pink actually you've made into a watercolor palette like this thing.
Yes, I have. I gave some to Norin when I saw him last.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And I want to say it's basically like, I'm going to swatch it out right here. And if you're watching, like, you probably won't be able to actually see the true brilliance of it.
It is serious.
Yeah, it is like a very pink. Like,
yeah, my mom had a word for it, and it was pink. That was my mom's word for that color.
Yeah, I mean, it's like putting a highlighter down on paper.
Which is awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen some people do some stuff too, like where they take the pigment and then they do something, and then all of a sudden it's like an oil paint, it's a watercolor paint, it's in resin, in a resin figure. So there's a lot of stuff that you can utilize it for. Is what I'm basically trying to say. You don't have to pigeonhole yourself.
Oh yeah, well, I pigeonhole myself by nature. I mean,
yeah. Well, that's what you want to do. Okay, that's fine.
I'm like, wait a minute, have you met me?
That's fine. I mean, I'm not gonna knock you for it because, like, you know, everyone has something to do.
I'm lucky that I've got any control over watercolors at this point in time.
I mean, you have a lot more control than I've seen other people, so I wouldn't worry too much about it.
That, yeah. You know, not like that's saying a whole lot, but you know, you got it.
Yeah.
So now I'm laying down ivory black into her hair. Of course, her hair is black, but it's coming out very gray, which is great. That's exactly what I'm kind of looking for.
Mm-hmm.
And then,
so her hair is more of like a warmer black then?
yeah, as opposed to using Payne's gray, which is what I was thinking of using, but I think her hair is more of a brown black.
Yeah. Well, and Payne's gray is not a true black.
Right. But I mean, she's got enough mixed heritage in her that she's got some brown in her hair. Yeah, it's not the true shockingly black hair, which turns blue in highlight.
Blue black.
Yeah, that's really cool hair, and that's the way that my previous character Julie Cochran's hair was. But I've decided that there's enough mix in this culture. She doesn't have that.
Mm. Yeah, I realized the other day that I actually have a color I called it khakis.
Khakis or just khakis?
Like UMM khakis.
I see.
As in the commercial.
Right.
What are you wearing, Jake from State Farm?
Gotcha.
And surprisingly, it's actually a really nice color. It is actually the color of khakis. I'm using it right now. Like, I'm just swatching out some color. Yeah. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I'm actually gonna I'm just having fun today.
Well, yeah. Why stress?
Yeah.
It is a gloomy day outside.
What are you talking about? It's perfect.
Well, I mean,
I'm not normal.
I'm talking about normal people. Actually, I'm talking about Coloradans because, like, Coloradans get depressed because we have one day of overcast. Because Colorado just doesn't usually have overcast.
Well, and the thing is like since I've moved here, I've noticed that, but also like I'm from an area of Florida that like is overcast almost like 80% of the year.
Right.
So like for me, I love it because I don't have to like run the risk of putting on tons and tons of sunblock just to function.
There is that. I agree with that.
So, all right. Let's see.
Okay. So I'm just going in here with her hair and putting in this black, which is laying down so gray, but that's okay. That is exactly what I'm after here. Like I was saying before, I'm so thick. The colors that I put down are so dark and so thick. So I'm trying desperately to do lighter, much lighter colors this time around.
Did the tip that I gave you about adding more water to it before you actually put the pigment down like help for you?
Yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing. I've got the pigment down here, and then I add a bunch of water in coming from my water reservoir. So okay. I mean, it's very, very, very light.
Oh, did I lose you? I lost audio and I lost visual. What happened to Guy? I see he's still painting, so that's good. Keep it up, Guy. Keep it up. If you're trying to talk to me, I can't hear you. Hello there. Okay. I don't know what was said, but I got a thumbs up, so I will stand by. I
There
can
we
see
go.
a guy and I can hear him again.
Yeah.
Everything all right?
Yeah, everything turned out fine. I just, for reasons that are unknown, the camera on my phone just decided to give up the ghost.
Oh, it's fine.
Yep, which is fine. I got everything back under control. That actually wasn't that hard of a fix. So
Well, that's good.
Yeah. That could have been far, far, far worse. Yeah, but all of a sudden I looked up and my phone was back to its like home screen. And I was like, hello? Like, I don't think that's what's supposed to be happening.
Yeah.
So that's all right. I went over and I really should have written down the number of what our meeting is, so that the next time it decides to jump off a cliff for no reason, I can just type it in instead of having to break back to the main camera and say, hang on, everybody. So I don't broadcast our meeting details and have 27 people join our show.
Oh, yeah. And I mean, I'm just happy this is the first time we haven't really commented about people like,
Yeah, we haven't had our trolls. They've been banned.
Oh, okay.
Last time they did that, Brent banned them. So they got hit with a ban hammer.
Gotcha.
So they were unpleasant folks. Wasn't ecstatic about them.
Although the way that they trolled us, I mean, at first I thought it was kind of flattering, and then it just got raunchy.
Yeah, well, and though it's sweet of them, in a way.
Yeah.
The truth is, I got better things to do with my life.
And you're married.
Well, so are you.
Yeah, I am. But if my husband likes them too, I mean, I don't know. He may be open. I don't know.
Yeah, you haven't gotten there yet. It was actually really funny. We just had this discussion with my wife too. I mean, like 4 or 5 days ago, because I was like, I don't have a problem with polyamory, but I don't think I get it myself. And she was like, yeah, I can understand that. And she said, but I don't know, maybe. And I'm like, me? I was like, that was a weird discussion. I think part of it is just that I'm old school, and that's all. You know what I mean? I come from a different era.
For me, it's not necessarily like old school. It's just, I mean, for me, it's just all about communication. Like, that's all it is more open communication. Like, you're more apt to discover what it is that someone may enjoy, and that's about it.
Right.
And also at the same time, I've met a lot of people who have very meaningful relationships in polyamory. So I'm not saying that it's bad. So
yeah. Oh yeah.
But I do know that it's
absolutely-
not for everyone.
Yeah, I absolutely will not judge. There's no judgment there. Because I know a couple of quadruples or whatever you want to call them. They're not couples.
Yeah. Well, I know 3 is a thruple.
3 is a truffle?
Thruple.
A thruple? That's kind of cool. Yeah. I dig that.
I mean, if you want a truffle, I guess I don't know, but look at Goonies. So for that, I guess.
Is that like where you also look at like Team Rocket? Because if you want truffle, you make it duffle.
Yeah, most likely.
Just saying.
I talked about this with someone else about Team Rocket in general. If you take Team Rocket at its base, like what its core, what they actually say they're about, they're not bad people at all.
No, they're not. Which actually makes the best villains.
Yeah. Because in reality, like they root for Pikachu even though they're trying to nab him.
Yep.
And the one time that they actually beat Ash and they were able to kidnap Pikachu, they were thwarted by a Pokemon that was taking care of them.
That's true.
However, the fact that Ash hasn't gotten a Dragonite this far into the series until the most recent season, that perplexes me.
Yeah. You mean like Charizard?
Well, no, he has a Charizard, but he hasn't used Charizard in like forever.
Charizard sits back and he's getting kind of fat sitting over in the corner over there.
No, he's actually Ash left him to train in the Valley of the Dragons.
Okay. So he really
Ash
doesn't use his Charizard.
Right. I mean, I believe Ash's Squirtle is with a fire brigade, where he originally found Squirtle. His Bulbasaur actually takes care of Pokemon at Professor Oak's Pokemon Research Center in Pallet Town. A lot of his Pokemon like go on to do different things without him, but they're, as Bill put it, because you mindlessly wipe the free will and drive of a Pokemon when you capture them and put them inside of a Pokeball. Every single time they see Ash, they're always excited.
That makes sense.
I mean, think about it. You sit there
and totally true. I mean, that makes total sense. You're essentially just wiping them clean every time.
Only when you catch them, and then they're faithfully, loyally yours.
Not creepily or anything. It's not creepy when you think about it that way. No. Oh my God.
It does sound creepy when I say it out loud.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I'll be quiet now.
You don't have to be quiet. I'm just realizing how creepy it is. This beloved kids show, and it's all about how faithfully and loyally these creatures are stuck to you forever, and ever, and ever.
Yeah. I mean, even someone was explaining me like what they do in Pokemon Go, and they were telling me about how they get Poke Candy or Pokemon Candy, whatever. Basically, they sacrifice the Pokemon that they've captured and turn them into candy through a machine.
Yeah.
So you're essentially feeding Pokemon other Pokemon that has been sugarized.
Yep, we've never done anything like that. Mad cow disease. I'm sorry, what?
What? Soylent Green?
Soylent Green? It's a peephole. That's what he was saying. It's made out of a peephole. That's it.
Hey, it's not as gross as Snowpiercer.
Yeah.
I mean, if you've actually read anything or watched anything with that in it, it's
Pretty terrifying.
yeah. Well,
Pretty terrifying.
I believe at one point one of the characters actually reveals on how babies taste.
Yeah, there you go. That's the way it should be.
Yeah.
Tender.
Yeah. That's so gross.
It really is.
I don't even know why I brought it up. It's so gross.
I'm like, why'd you do this to us, man?
Oh, why'd I go there? Why? Anyone in the comments, please.
We got nobody over there still, so at least nobody heard us when we talked about this. Okay, not enough water.
So I'm actually going to zoom in on your screen. So are you having any issues with the paint so far?
No, not at all, except that I put way too much down just now.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I was about to say, like, it doesn't look like it's the look you're normally going for.
No, way too much paint, not enough water. So I'm going to just keep going on through here and trying to kind of push it. I got to keep pushing it back up because, of course,
it pools towards the base.
Yeah, it pools towards the base of the picture here. But that's all right. I'm going to pick it up and just keep going with it.
Now, what you could do, and this is just a suggestion, when you do have pools of water and you don't want them to stay, you can dry your brush a little and then scoop up the excess water from the paper.
That's not a bad idea. Like that. There we go.
Yeah, because then that way you're not. It won't take away from what you're trying to do on the painting.
Right. There we go. It's coming out a little bit better now. It's drying.
Yeah. So, I mean, we haven't really focused on any of our check-ins or anything since we've been doing the shows recently.
Well, it's because the last time we had a check-in, the check-in for you was to continue work on your workflow. And the check-in for me was 5,000 words. So we were kind of stuck in this perpetual sort of doing the same critter.
Yeah, I think you are correct, sir. I think I'm kind of happy not to do the check-in for a bit.
Yeah, we were kind of stuck in that zone up there, so.
Yeah, and I wasn't really getting much progress because I was like, yeah, but it's always the same goal for me. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, maybe we should break the goals down a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that's something that we can think up for next week.
Yeah. Because right now we're kind of having fun painting.
Yeah. Well, and this all started with basically me making, talking about it and then making paint for you.
This paint that I'm using even as we speak. Because I am totally using that paint right now. It actually looks really pretty. I like it.
Even though looks so different. It looks like you like I wasn't like understanding what you meant, but it really does look gray on camera.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like that though in real life.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't look that same color. And it's time for us to take a quick break.
Okay.
All artists should stand up and at least stretch.
I'm just gonna stretch my arms, man.
Yeah, well, I like to stand up every hour and walk around because then I at least have moved. Like I'm gonna go over here and ooh, it's very pretty outside because everything got wet. And
then the sun comes out and takes all of the ice on my car off.
Yeah. My car lives in the garage now.
Well, I would say
I know your car would too.
But
yeah.
I would share that sentiment.
All right. Now I've got. Actually, isn't turning out bad at all. Now I'm going to get it back in there. And I want that burnt umber for her eyes. Her eyes are really shockingly dark. But I need a smaller brush.
So what type of are you just doing like a random burnt umber, or like do you have like a specific?
There's no special for it. There's no specialized color for her yet. I mean, I would not be opposed if you had an idea for her.
Well, I have a burnt umber, but it's called colonial burnt umber.
Because only the colonials burn their umbers?
No, where I was getting it from, the supply has dried up. So they don't they're not selling it anymore, but I have like a huge amount of it because I got it when it was on sale because they were discontinuing the color. I can make a few pans of it. It's just a super dark umber.
He does have the eyes that are so brown that they're black. Mm-hmm. That is one of her things. So a super dark umber isn't going to hurt. Oh man, as your paint is drying, you can see the sparkles on her skin.
Yeah, the lighter the coat, the more sparkles you'll get.
Oh, I dig that.
Also, when it dries, I don't know if you notice this, but if you look at the camera, as the color dries, it goes from gray to a more, yellow-like tint.
No, this could prove to be really interesting. As it pools on the bottom, I'm getting a gorgeous gradient.
Yeah.
Not intentional, but absolutely welcome. I'm making it worse.
You're making it worse?
Well, or making it better, or I'm making it more dramatic. I'm not sure. But I added actual pigment in there.
Oh, okay.
So I went back and dotted the pigment in there. Uh-huh. So now it actually does have a legit gradient going for it.
Well, that's always a good thing in my book.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No. It was accidental for me to do it. I am still not seeing anybody on our show today. That's kind of a bummer. We still have, we've lost a viewer, but we've got, and actually we don't have, I guess. I was going to say that we're all coming in on our Google Meet.
Yeah.
So we don't count these as viewers. There's no legit viewers from the Google Meet. So that's kind of cool in its own way. It means that the viewers who are there are legit.
Yeah.
So I'm not seeing any damage to the line work from the printer.
Well, that's good then.
I've gone over these lines by accident a number of times.
Well, then that means it's good.
Intention, but I did it.
I mean, that's good. I mean, I would still advise not to jinx yourself and like just go hog wild. But again, I mean, that's a good thing for me if when I see stuff like that.
Yeah, I agree. And it is coming out as a very, very light color coat, which is beautiful. It is exactly what I'm after here.
Yeah.
Okay, we missed a spot on skin tone, so we got to go back in and fix a spot on the skin tone. But yeah, it's really hard to appreciate how wonderful your paint is on the camera.
Yeah.
Because I mean, as it's drying, there's these little gold flecks. Just so cool. Just so cool. You know?
Yeah. Oh, I know it. They're nice. I mean, I like it. I mean, we put a little bit of that mica in there, the mica gold dust pigment in there for that specific reason.
Yeah. And it looks really solid. Alrighty, that turned out really nice. And we'll have to figure out, you and I are going to have to talk about how we're going to do shading for her. I think that's the other thing is I'll have to make a permanent version of shading for her. Because I know it's going to be this plus purple or violet, I guess.
Like, as in, like, color? Like,
yeah, to colorize this, we're going to have to come in with the skin tone plus a violet. I have never managed to pull that off without some kind of horrible disaster occurring.
Well, what I would recommend doing is like testing it before you actually commit on an actual like piece that you want to make in print.
Right.
That way you can get down like exactly the coloring that you need.
Right.
As far as purples go, the best one that I know of is like a more pink, like a lighter grayish purple that has like a huge pink notes. But with her yellower skin, I think you could go more purple.
So I was thinking too. There we go. Pick up some of this blue. I'm doing phthalo blue, my favorite blue ever.
What type of blue was that?
Phthalo blue. I am remarkably entertained by it. Probably more entertained than I need to be. Right. Kind of want to just double down with my color for shadows.
You could probably do that for right now, so it makes it easier on you.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. All right. Just putting in this blue. I have a very sparkly, the duochrome green blue.
Oh, okay.
It's sparkly, and it's very sparkly, and I like it too. So at some point, since your skin tone that you gave me is so sparkly, I'm thinking of using that kind of thing for the sparkly as well. This blue is so dramatic. It's so dramatic that it's winning an Oscar.
Oh, okay.
Oscar-winning dramatics here. Which, when I first got this blue, Amy from Gyrie's was like, I usually use that blue, except seriously watered down. I was like, yeah, screw that. I'm going to use it direct. She's like, well, okay, you can do that if you want. I was like, but it's so beautiful. It's such a pretty blue. And now I'm trying to be lighter with it, not in fact put it directly down, direct on pigment. So, I want everybody to admire my control.
I mean, I like the color blue, so I'm like right there with you. Like, I understand what you're saying. So,
right? It's a thing.
When you have favorite colors, like, you want to work with them. You want to kind of like do that. Like it's like it's a thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, and I really want to go super direct with it, but I'm okay with it not being like, just painting straight out of the palette on here. It makes some sense. The mission statement here was to be calmer.
Yes.
Much, much calmer with these colors and less obnoxious and super painty.
I mean, I have a blue paint from M. Graham that basically, like, I love the color. Love it. But I don't like it when I have to desaturate it at all.
Right.
So, and it's a blue tone.
Yeah, something about blue. Blue it just lends itself to, it's such a lovely color, and it's just sweet. I don't know. I remember as a child, something I was in, like, I think it was a concourse at an airport in the 70s. So everything was really saturated anyway.
Yeah.
And I remember this room that was just this pretty blue. The chairs were blue. The walls were blue. It was a very lovely shade of blue. The whole thing was. Yeah. And I remember that. And I still remember that to this day. I don't, like I said, I think because it was an airport concourse, they were doing everything in colors. There was like the red area and the orange area and the blue area and the yellow area or whatever.
Yeah.
But I seem to remember it being very much like this fellow blue. And it's still, when I was a kid, I would go fly to see my grandparents. So
yeah,
getting on an airplane was always so exciting and so cool,
Yeah, no, I mean that, like, my grandparents, I had one set of grandparents that lived in another state. So we either picked them up from the airport or we saw them. And the first time we saw them, it was at an airport. And, I mean, I agree. Like airports, they tend to compete with each other, like of how they can entertain people that are traveling.
Right.
So, I mean, I totally get what you're saying. Because there are some airports that, like, I'm just like, no, I don't like that airport at all.
We're looking at you, LAX.
You know, surprisingly, I've never really. I think I've flown into LAX, but I've never actually like. I didn't stay there long enough to really pay attention to it.
LAX is a brutal airport.
Although I do like San Francisco. I like their airport a whole lot better.
Yeah, San Fran? Yeah.
Yeah.
I like Seattle's airport. Seattle has such a pretty airport.
Well, I'm hoping to finally see it one day. I haven't really gone to Seattle yet, but a lot of people have told me that it's very much my vibe.
It is very much your vibe, but it's but it's airport. I mean, I've been to Seattle a couple of times. And I like the vibe of that airport.
Yeah. Maybe after I have kids, we'll go.
Right. Maybe you'll go with the kid. That happens a lot.
Well, I hope so.
Kid everywhere, as you have discovered.
Yup.
Although I try not to take him places until he's got kind of control over not being too much of a pest while we're at the I'm bored and stuff like that.
Well, as of right now, like I watched my sister, like we traveled to California with my sister and boarding the plane, getting on the plane. Apparently there's like some people who have issues when you're traveling with your children. And you wouldn't think like this day and age that you'll see this, but like they gave my sister such a hard time just for having baby formula for my niece that she just basically she at the end she was like, I'm gonna be late for my plane. Here, throw it in the trash. I don't care. I'm done with you. And the lady was just being super rude to my sister.
It is kind of weird. It is absolutely always okay to not be a parent and to have, to not have a baby and not want to have babies and stuff like that. That is totally fine. But I'm noticing a lot of people decide not to have children and then judge. It's like, don't judge till you've been down this road.
Yeah.
I mean, right now, as an example, I'm having problems with my kid refuses to eat anything good for him, and he only eats things that are bad for him. And so I have to control all the food in the house, because otherwise he will eat only carbs and sugar and then come to the dinner table and go, I'm not hungry.
Yeah.
And all you ate was carbs and sugar. That's horrible. And he's like, I'm not hungry. Well, I remember before I had kids, there was some show about this woman who put a padlock on the refrigerator. And I remember thinking, what a horrible person she is.
Yeah.
And now I'm like, maybe I should put a padlock on the refrigerator. I'm not going to do it. But I totally now could see how a normal human could make that jump,
Yeah. I think it's I think the show that you're talking about is Horrible Parents or Controlling, like it was like a show about controlling parents.
This had to have been 100 years ago because I've had my kid for 10 years. And this was long before I had a kid.
Yeah.
So
no, I remember the show that you're talking about because it was on when I was in college.
Yeah, that would have been about the right time.
And that's about 20 years ago.
Yeah, so that's about the right time. But yeah, it was something like that. Horrible Parents or something. And I remember thinking, oh, who would ever do that? You're beautiful little child. Well, you know what? I won't actually put a padlock on my fridge, but I could totally understand it. You know?
I mean, for my perspective, like my perspective, since like I grew up in a very weird manner, like they had a problem with me eating ramen pretty much all the time.
Right, which is all carbs and no good.
But at the same time, like I would go over to my grandparents' house and I would eat all of the ramen in there because I knew it was cheap, and getting it replaced wasn't that big of a deal.
Right.
Until it became a big deal.
Which is when you load it up on carbs and you realize that you just don't have anything but carbs in you, and that's it. And yay, congratulations. You are just killing your body slowly.
Yeah.
All right. Who's up for an experiment? This is me. I'm going to try to do an experiment here. Her lips need to be a different color because her lips actually are not the same color as her skin. I'm going to try this brown you gave me here.
Okay. You can also try a red.
Yeah, but I've noticed Asians don't tend to end up with off color being red or pink.
Okay.
So I just want enough that her lips show up. Yeah, that brown works perfect for this job.
Okay, cool. Turn that the wrong way. Are you doing something there, guy?
There we go.
Oh, is George in the office?
No, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. But I heard like some type of thing where it was like a shaking of a leg.
Oh. No, I'm actually just sitting here painting really tightly.
Yeah.
Because we're painting her lips. And I have to be careful not to paint into that mouth.
Gotcha.
But yeah, brown, that darker brown works well for her lips. Because the brown you gave me is just a hair red.
Yeah. It actually has two of the similar colors in the mixes that
Right.
I did for it for both colors. So
All right. I think we are out at the end of that particular piece of tissue. So start the next piece of tissue. We only really need to put in the red highlights on all of her uniform parts. And then I think we'll be ready to let this guy take a break for a minute or two.
well,
I'm just going to use cadmium red for everything that because that's the seals on her spacesuit, and oh, that's green trim, and I missed that. I'll come back into the green. All right, so here we go. Yeah, like there's all kinds of things that people just do not understand about parents and parenting, and they like to interject as if they do. For example, my son seems to have a real problem understanding that he's not supposed to show up on camera. And
Did you just try?
Extremely frustrating thing, because he will come in here in the middle of a show, and I keep telling him, no, don't. And like in this instance, I've got cameras going in both directions, so he's not supposed to be in here at all.
Well, yeah.
He gets himself in trouble doing that one all the time. And he thinks he's clever, I guess. I don't know. But whatever's the story, it's extremely irritating, and it gets him busted every time. Okay, so we're going to go up here on the trim top per uniform. But I do notice that a lot of people who've never had kids seem to be suddenly very big experts on how to raise a kid.
Well, I mean, I try not to like when my sister's when one of my sisters is complaining, I try to do now is look, I'm not there, I'm not in the moment with your kids, so I don't know what exactly is going on. But
right.
Like, if you want my advice, here it is.
Right. I'll give you what I can.
If you're gonna complain to me, I'm like, don't tell me I can't give you a suggestion, because obviously you're complaining.
Right.
There's a reason why some people who give unsolicited advice, and it happens. But at the same time,
noise. Whatever that was cool.
That was my pencil sharpener.
Oh, well, your pencils are now sharp.
Yeah.
And the audience is now listening. So
I think for the most part though, like the biggest thing that me and Bill are going to have to face once we have everything said and done with our process is people asking, "Oh, where's your mommy?"
Right? That's going to be hard.
That one's going to be a little bit of a excuse me, do not say that to my child, please.
Yeah, and there are weird. That's the other thing. I had a lot of that going on too. Like for the longest time, for most of Kai's life, and for most of his life, I've been his stay-at-home dad.
Yeah,
I got laid off from work in 2013, and have just worked from home. Well, he was 3 when I was laid off.
Yeah.
So. He doesn't really remember a time when I wasn't the one who took him everywhere because I work from home now, and because I'm an artist, so I work from here, right?
Yeah.
He doesn't remember a time when it wasn't me. But
yeah.
I spent a lot of time with people going, "Oh, you're hanging out with your dad? That's so sweet," and it was like. That's remarkably condescending.
Yeah.
It's like, it was like, let's applaud the dad for doing the job. And I'm like, I'm doing the job, man. I'm just doing the job.
Well, the thing is it's like, no, dads are parents too. They're not babysitting.
Right? That was a really weird effect I had a lot of time on, which was, I'm not babysitting. I'm actually 90% parent most of the days. Mom comes home, she gets to be parent at night. But during the day. And now that mom works as a principal, she's got her own kids to deal with.
Yeah. Yeah. What the good thing is like I guess is I watched it a little bit with my uncle, because my uncle stayed at home with my 2 cousins, so I kind of have a good advantage like of what to kind of expect to hear.
Right.
But like again, it's not something I'm looking forward to.
Exactly.
So
exactly. Okay. I feel like we've done really good here. Moving along quite nicely. Quite nicely, indeed. So now that I've done this, I'm kind of wondering whether I shouldn't just do a more pure version of paints, less water to put in the shadows.
So you're still talking about putting purple in with the skin tone, right?
Well, I wasn't actually. That's what I'm trying to decide on here. Is whether I want to just, this time instead of watering it down quite considerably, this time do it with half the water that I did before.
That may actually work out better right now.
Yeah, until I'm better at my mixing, I'm afraid I'll ruin my picture, which is turning out really nice and really lovely.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, I'm pretty pleased with it.
I mean, you could always just choose not to shade.
I want a light shade, a very, very light shading. I mean, just enough to give depth.
Mm-hmm.
Not dramatic, just enough to give depth.
Makes sense.
Because like right now, her nose kind of vanishes.
Yeah. Can't help you with that one.
Yeah.
You drew her that way.
I do like the gold, though. Boy, does that look cool.
I'm happy you like it that way, though, too, because I was nervous, like, how it would play in.
Right?
But it definitely looks... Yeah, it definitely looks like it's supposed to be that way.
Yeah. It makes, exactly like I thought, it makes the actual paintings more valuable.
Yeah.
Because they've got a gold sort of sparkle to them that you're not going to see on the scans.
Yeah. Well, and like if anyone's actually seen like what happens when you like scan a metallic paint or just gold leaf in general or anything, depending on your scanner, you get like several different types of reactions.
Right.
One, like I tried scanning one piece that I did myself, and it literally looked like I basically put like white noise from a TV on top of the paper.
Oof.
And it did not look pretty. It was not in a good manner.
Right. Good morning, Donald. Welcome to the show. We now have Donald here.
Yay! Hey, Donald. I can't see comments today.
Yeah, we're trying a new technique, and so that means that he's not able to see what's said.
Is that your phone?
Yeah, that is my phone. Is it making noise on like the show? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Go away. I have gotten a ton of calls now for who are you voting for? Are you voting? Have you registered? Yes, I've registered. Yes, I will vote. I'm not going to tell you who I'm voting for. It's like, so it's extremely frustrating though when I'm in the middle of a show and it's being that way.
Well, my whole thing is I can't wait until this election is over, because every single time we have a big election, it seems like our private lives don't seem to matter to people.
Right?
Until after.
You're only important until as long as you can be a political pawn.
Yeah.
There we go. Excellent. Oh, yeah, we've been getting Amber Alerts here in Colorado.
Yeah, we got one last night.
Yeah, so there we go. I'll just smooth this all out right through here. What I love about watercolors is, okay, I want this to be very, very dramatic. But then the rest this smooths out and we're good. Okay, so one of the things I have learned from today's show is that I want to do our next time like this off the iPad. Because as soon as a call has come in, you turned your volume way down and I can barely hear you. So
oh, I'm sorry.
It's well, obviously it's not your fault, but it is extraordinarily irritating because that means that when anybody spam calls me, which we all know is going to happen at least 20 times during the show, clearly it's going to
affect.
Yeah, right. Donald's saying he's gotten written letters telling him to vote, but from like California addresses. And that's what I find so weird.
I am like right there with him, though.
It's so strange. I don't know if I can change the.
I mean, my sister, she lives in California, and she got something from Florida, and she hasn't lived in Florida for over 20 years.
There you go. Let's see if that helps.
That works.
No, it didn't work. It's just the app has now gotten borked, so there's nothing I can do.
Oh, it's gotten bored? What?
Yeah, it got Borg. Nothing worse than getting an app that has Borg.
Oh, I mean, I know what you mean. You have to surrender your ship. You have to assimilate. It's just bad. Which, by the way, we've been watching.
Oh, disassimilate.
By the way, we finally got a chance to watch Lower Decks.
Oh, good.
Yeah, we haven't watched it all yet, but we're watching it slowly.
So you haven't got to the part where they all die. I understand.
No, we're almost there.
Almost there.
Yeah, almost
there. I was explaining that last night on Geek Tank. That was a joke that was my best friend's brother and him were doing that through all of my best friend's childhood. You know, they all die in the end. Oh, okay. They all die, you know, to the point where my best friend no longer actually really believed him. But then all of a sudden, you know, his brother gives him this book, and they did. They legitimately all died in the end, and he was so upset.
Yeah.
It was very funny.
Yeah. I really like this concept piece that I just did in my sketchbook.
Wow, this is actually turning out really good. the idea of just putting in thicker skin tone is putting down just the right amount of fascinating shading.
Actually, if you want to look at your screen real quick and actually see the one that I did, it's the center one.
Oh yeah, that's cool. I like that. See, you're getting darker too on that one. That one's and that's not a complaint. That's just an observation.
Well, I did ink washes, so I have a little bit of an advantage in it where I laid down like an ink wash and then I put the color on top, and then it's reinforced part of the ink wash. But
so Donald would like to tell you that you missed out on all the dragon puns that went on yesterday on the show.
Oh?
And we were doing a dragon for Brent, and we were making no end of puns. It was hysterical and funny and somewhat wrong.
I mean, I like a good dragon pun.
Right?
Don't get me wrong.
But they have a tendency to drag on.
Yeah, they do. You can always waver on people.
That's true.
Yeah. Wavering. More wavering. No, I actually grew up, like, the one thing that I always could count on, like, my mom collecting was dragons. So.
That's kind of cool.
That and Virgin Marys. I don't understand the connection, but.
Sometimes people are kind of weirdly weird.
I think art-wise, I think I've seen so many different pieces and paintings of the Virgin Mary that, like if someone showed me one, I probably have already seen it.
Yeah. Here we go.
What's up?
So last night during the game, we were playing Star Trek Adventures, and Donald had this. We were meeting this culture that didn't understand transporters. So the crew was trying to be cognizant and not disrupt the culture. And Donald said, "You know what we should do? You should send a shuttle pod over there. It only holds 2 people, but then just keep beaming people to the shuttle pod. So it's like a clown car. 25 people just keep coming out of this shuttle pod. It only holds 2 people. And people just keep piling out." And we were getting such a kick out of that idea. It's such a funny idea. So he's saying, it would have worked. That would have been cool. And I'm like, it would have. It would have been awesome. It would have been such a thing.
No.
So we're at 43 minutes, or we're 11:43 at this point. So we're getting kind of close to the end here, but I'm really liking where we are on this piece.
Oh yeah.
Now,
how are you? Now I've seen this piece when you've sketched it out originally, and she's supposed to be holding something.
Yeah, she's got the holographic characters or the holographic computer there.
Yeah, so
the
how
holographic
are you going to
computer sits in this part of her wrist.
Okay. So how are you going to be doing that?
I don't know. I haven't actually thought about that at all. I was just going to see if this worked.
Okay.
And if it works, and I'm happy. If not, she's just holding a thing. I don't know. Maybe she's doing a Hadoken. It's a very small Hadoken.
So I have this thing called Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White.
Uh-huh.
Right here. You could definitely use that to create a space right there. if you water it down, you can do some awesome glow effects on top of watercolor.
Right.
It's up to you.
That would be kind of cool. I don't know if I don't know. This is, I mean, to be fair, I'm kind of happy with it just working. You know what I mean? I'm like amazed that I actually managed to make this a relatively calm and laid back watercolor without any major screw ups. So let's go on ahead and try to screw it up. I mean, you know.
Oh, well, I mean, after I gave you some fancy watercolors, I mean, I'll attribute you not having a bad time with your watercolors for most.
Right? Gotta ruin it. What good is it if I don't ruin it?
Well, I always like to think, like, if I ruin something, if I can look at it and I see it not as ruined, that'd be okay.
Hey, guys. So we're coming in from Twitch. Who are you guys? We're two artists in Denver, Colorado. And where are you guys? Where are you from? We got Vatican 59. Coming in from Twitch. So yeah, we're a couple of artists who I do a show every day out of Denver. Pepper and I are both comic artists, and we do comics. And so right now I'm working on my watercolors, which I'm not very good at, but I'm trying.
And I'm just
India. That's cool.
Cool.
In Chennai. Awesome. Well, welcome to the show. Sadly, we only have like about 10 minutes left on the show. Over there, I know it's about 2 in the morning-ish, right? 2 or 3 in the morning over there in India. You'd be at probably, I think, either 1 to 3 in the morning. So it's really early in the morning for you. Yeah, I'm a mangaka. I don't know if I feel like Pepper is somewhere in between manga and traditional.
Yeah, I would agree.
You're on the other side of India. I got it. I had to think about where Chennai was. So it's 11:30. It's still, kind of moving. I only say that because every so often we have a person, an individual, who comes in from South Korea, and I have a ton of family and friends over in Japan, and so I usually keep track of what time it is on the Asian side of the world, because I can't make phone calls to my buddies in Japan at this time of day, because then they're like, "Why did you call me? It's in the morning. It's so early." And so I try to track the time over there. So yeah, southern part. I have never been to India yet, but I will. I will totally make it to India someday. I lived in Japan for a long time, and I wanted so desperately to just take that one flight. All I have to do is just get over to China, and then I can get down to Korea, and then over to India, and all of that area is so cool. Everything over there is so interesting. So at some point, I'll make it there. I promise.
I went to an international college, so I had a lot of classmates that were from India. Pretty much all over. Like I had like few from northern, few from southern, from the west, one from the central part, and I don't think I met very many from the east part. But
in eastern part of India.
Yeah, like I went to school with basically what I mentioned mainly. I never really met anyone that went to my school that was from the eastern part of India. So,
interesting.
Yeah.
I've met a couple of people from.
It's a really beautiful country. Like I would like to go one day myself.
Yeah, I think the only people I worked with a couple of people who were from Sri Lanka. I'm trying to think, because I've worked with so many people from all over the world, but it's like so many things that are in India are so pretty. I'd love to go over there and just paint. That's one of the things I want to do with my life someday, is travel the world.
Maybe once your kid is out of the house.
So, recommending Ravi Varma. Yeah, they're very similar cultures. They're all ex-British colonies. So are we, as a matter of fact. This is something we all have in common. We're all ex-British colonies. And that's a thing. So it's always interesting. So yeah, Ravi Varma. That name sounds really familiar. I'm familiar with that name somewhere. I've heard that name. So there is that. I mean, I can't guarantee that I know what that person does, but I'm familiar with the name. I've heard of it. Okay. Trying to kind of get that. So I feel like this is turning out really nice, actually.
Cool. I'm happy.
Yeah.
I keep looking up at it and like thinking maybe the hair should be darker. But then I was like, no.
Too.
But
then whether I should go back in through her hair.
Yeah, I think it's something that you'd have to like. That's your decision, not mine. So
I feel like that's the case too. So we're getting sort of a request for favorite paintings. I think it's easier for you to pull up favorite paintings than me. I did do this painting at one point, but I feel like it's still too dark and everything's just too rough. I do like the gold. There's gold on it and it's hard to see, but if I turn painting like this, the gold kind of sparkles. So I dig color like that. I mean, my favorite this flesh color here was made by where are you? There you go. It was made by him.
Yeah.
Pepper made this gold.
I mean, the center picture that I did, because this is just a concept sketchbook. The center one is one that I think I want to kind of recreate bigger. I really like on how it turned out, but give me a second and I'll try to see if I still have a piece.
So yeah, I mean, I think I might want to make her hair just a little darker. So strangely enough, we were originally set up properly where Pepper's art was directly above Pepper and my art was directly above me, but then we had a problem with my camera, which rebooted somewhere along the line, and so it's shuffled us now. So now we're catty corner. So my art is actually right back here. That's my art. And Pepper's art is directly above me.
So one of my two favorite pieces, they're a couple of years old. I did them for like an Inktober type deal. Is this one right here, where it's a huntress hunting jackrabbits after a nuclear war changed our planet. And then the other one is one of my favorite animals is a mutated barn owl chasing after another huntress that basically broke her bow that she was using for arrows and is now trying to hide. from her, Predator type deal. Really like that one. This was a series because it was for Inktober. Trying to find, I believe there's a third one in here, so let me try to find it.
I love the internet, though.
Yeah.
They're saying your picks are epic, which actually I kind of agree with, man. You got pretty epic picks going on over there.
Thanks. Yeah, that like yeah, I've had some duds before and a lot of people say that there's some that are not my best work, but I mean
all artists have not their best work somewhere along the line. That's just the nature of art. We can't all be perfect all the time.
Nah. I mean, you can try, but I can tell you right now, I don't agree that
even Da Vinci had crappy paintings.
Like, this is actually for game promo art. So
nice. I've always liked that piece too. That was one of my favorites.
Yeah. So, yeah. Oh, it definitely. Now this is dry. I definitely like on how it turned out.
So the next question is, why do you guys think that artists are more underpaid and don't get the proper recognition these days? Is it because of commercialization? That is a good question, my friend. That is a good question.
It comes to it, like, for me, growing up, I was literally told by people that, like, when I become a famous artist, make sure that I sell, like, I give you something of my, like, give me some art pieces when I die, because then they'll be basically worth more.
Yeah, that's what I got to. Really, what I think has happened is people see art as a hobby and not as actual work. We're not actually pulling levers or typing into computer databases or
holding regular work
like
hours.
Yeah, we're not putting in, and our hours are weird. As artists, I work well into the night. I'm up with you, man. Same time you're up. It's like I'm up at 1 a.m. and 11:30, and this is when I'm at my best. Even though it's the middle of the day right now, I generally am working really, really, really late at night. And because it's weird hours, people just think this is some kind of hobby. And I feel like they view this as a hobby and not as a skill. And this is a very, very, very difficult skill. I think people don't grasp that.
Like, for me, I think what it is everyone's quick to cut art programs or basically creative outlets in general first because they think it's trivial.
Right.
And unfortunately, some of the best things that have come out of creative programs that I was part of as a kid, I still utilize some of the things that I did during that time, even as an adult, and help me understand some of the creative processes that I needed.
Come in. Oh, I'm sorry. It's instinctual.
But during the pandemic, what had happened was I had set up a few things, event-wise, just basically like thinking, oh, this is great. But the moment that everything hit, all of a sudden, I'm now out of work because companies and stuff had to cancel the events. or if the events weren't canceled, they decided to go a different direction to limit the amount of people that were there. And so what I was hired to do as an artist basically was nixed.
Right. Donald's saying all the time spent through years of practice to get good enough to be good, so that painting or drawing is more than a day's work. It represents years and years of work and technique.
Yeah.
And then Vatican saying the artists in those days were paid and respected too.
So I agree. I mean, part of this is that there has been a change in our cultures all the way across the board. It's interesting because as different as one would think India and America would be, the truth is a lot of these cultures did the same thing, and that was we had a shift. Artists used to have patrons who would pay their bills and have everything paid so that they wouldn't have to worry about money, and then they could just be free to do art, and the art would be out there for the world, and the patrons would patronize them. That's one of the reasons why I like Patreon. The concept of Patreon is very much the same thing.
Yeah.
And that's kind of cool. So,
I mean, I can agree, but I also kind of like even like I'm
next question is, where
Uh-huh.
do we see this heading to? That's the next question coming in from Vatican.
What do you mean?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, like, are you talking about like the artist culture or where our business is headed? Because I feel like the model of Patreon and things like that actually may mean that there's a renaissance for us artists coming up.
Well,
we're able to do what we want to do and be able to transmit our stories and say things and do things.
Yeah.
I consider myself a storyteller. My art is secondary to the idea that I'm telling stories. And I feel like that's probably where you are too.
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken.
Visual
you and I both
storytelling,
consider
I
ourselves
like.
to be storytellers, and
Yeah. Hell, I mean, I'm going through like a process to get a kid through adoption, as a way to make them understand and help them understand their own adoption. I'm going to be making a storybook for them using my artwork. So, I mean, yeah, but it definitely is there. But in the sense of where art or just art, the art world in general is going, it seems like a lot of people in the art community are kind of tired of being told that we should be expected to be devalued. Like a lot of us are. So
yeah, we are sadly, speaking of kids, I'm gonna have to feed mine.
I don't have one to feed.
He said twice now. I'm presuming it's a he. I actually have no clue. Has already said twice that we should paint the next president after the elections. Okay.
Okay.
We are at noon, and so we're gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go feed my kid. Vatican. My child is staying home to do elementary school from home because of the pandemic, which means that I'm on lunch duty. So
Hey,
I'm gonna
grab
have
that
to go
hairnet.
downstairs and make lunch. So unfortunately, we're gonna have to go ahead and cut the stream. But I broadcast every day for the last 2 hours. So if you were at 11:30 before and now it's midnight for you, then it's from 10 p.m. to midnight your time. If you want to join me, it's Monday through Friday, every day, and this is the Friday show. So give me 2 days, and then I'll be back Monday. And Monday, I'm going to be working on a commission over there on the tablet computer, which you can see kind of behind me. I have a big tablet computer monitor that I draw on, and I'll be doing that. We do traditional on Fridays now because I'm with Pepper.
And I'm more of a traditional artist.
And all my lights just changed, which means that we are now out of show. So there you go. I'm going to go on ahead and move back over to the other. Later, Donald. We'll see you later, man.
See you later, Donald.
And yeah, check in on us during the normal days. We do this. Pepper and I work Fridays together. So if you come in on Friday, it'll be Pepper. Any other day, it's just me. Although I'm probably going to have Brian next week. So another artist will be joining us. So I will see you all later. I'm going to go on ahead and roll the end credits. Thank you for joining us, and thanks for joining us from Chennai. And I will talk to you all later. Keep your eyes on the stars.